Hi, my name is Ciara and I have just finished my second year studying biomedical engineering at Imperial. So today I'll be talking a little bit about what it is like to do a UROP at Imperial and specifically what it is like to do a UROP in the Department of Bioengineering. So UROP stands for the Undergraduate Research Opportunities Programme, and it essentially gives undergraduates the chance to work on some really exciting research projects during the summer. The projects typically last between 4 and 12 weeks, and you get to talk to PhD students, postdoctoral researchers, and some of your lecturers as you work on these projects. While you do your UROP, you're likely to pick up some great skills that will be useful if you want to pursue a career in research in the future. For instance, you're likely to improve your ability to critically analyse data, as often projects will involve you collecting or handling large data sets and then being able to interpret this data and present it in a way in which is understandable for other people. Furthermore, you might pick up some specific skills depending on the project that you do. In bioengineering, this may be certain laboratory techniques or certain biological methods such as the polymerase chain reaction, or you might pick up a new programming language such as Java if you were working on an app interface. For my UROP last year, I had to learn some new maths that I didn't previously learn in lectures in order to write an algorithm that would take my raw data from the experiments that I was doing and to give a meaningful result from them. Furthermore, having the opportunity to talk to PhD students and postdoctoral researchers gives you a really good insight into what it is like to pursue research as a career path, and it allows you to gain insight into the day-to-day life of a researcher. So the title of the project I am working on this year is Investigating the Locomotion Strategies of Hexapods on Inclined and Inverted Substrates Using Deep Neural Network-Based Markerless Pose Estimation. It's a big title but a really exciting project, so I'm going to spend some time breaking down what the project is. So to start with, I'm looking at the way in which insects move. So I'm reading in literature about the ways in which researchers characterize and parameterize the motion of insects. So for instance, they often calculate the fraction of a stepping cycle that an insect spends swinging their leg, or they may have investigated how many legs are in contact with the ground at any one point in the stepping cycle because it's an important indicator of the stability of the insect. You might be able to identify in this video a particular gait pattern in the stick insect. So if you look closely, you can see that the upper left leg, the middle right leg and the lower left leg all move together, whilst the upper right leg, the middle left leg and the lower right leg all move together to form triangles. This is known as the alternating triangle gait or the alternating tripod gait, and is really important to maintain stability whilst the insect walks. So I'm specifically trying to find out whether these parameters and these gait patterns in insects change when they walk on horizontal ground versus inclined or inverted surfaces. So the reason that I'm looking at this is because insect motion inspires the way in which we build robots and drones today. Their control mechanisms for their movement are highly intuitive and they can be used to develop better motions in our robots. So for instance, looking at the way in which insects move may help improve robots that mend satellites in space because it will allow them to stabilize their position as they work on a specific angle of the satellite. Once I've fully understood from literature how insects move on horizontal surfaces versus inclined and inverted surfaces and what current data there is available on this topic, I'm then going to move on to the programming section. So I'm going to be using Python and some machine learning techniques to derive a program that is able to track the position of insect joints through space as they move. I'm hoping to take videos of insect movements and then use my algorithm to mark the positions of joints in space and these markers will stay attached to the joints through the duration of the video.
As you can see in this image, the algorithm is marking out the positions of different joints along the leg. So for instance, it marks the position of the coxotrochanter joint, the femur tibia joint, and also the position at which the leg makes contact with the ground, which is at the tip of the tarsus, which is the foot of the insect. The aim is that the algorithm will be accurate regardless of the lighting conditions of the video and also the angle at which the insect is filmed.
This method of tracking joints is much better than previous methods used in research. So often researchers attach fluorescent beads to the joints or the body parts of insects, and there are quite a few problems associated with that. So for instance, for fluorescent beads, it requires you to shine a UV light on the insect, but UV light and light can affect the way in which an insect moves. Furthermore, the beads themselves might actually affect the way in which the insects move, and although researchers may perform experiments to try and prove that their marking techniques do indeed not affect the way in which insects move, there may be time-dependent effects of attaching markers on insects. Furthermore, these beads could fall off, and they're quite hard to manage and sustain through the duration of an experiment. Therefore, to create some kind of digital marker which can track the movement of joints through time without having to actually attach anything to the insects is really beneficial for researchers, saving time, but also ensuring that the marking technique does not affect the experimental outcome. I'm hoping then to take the joint data that I've collected through the video recordings to create models that reflect the motion of the insect through time, and then be able to calculate the parameters and identify the gait patterns of the insects that are often used in research. Therefore, I can then look at my results and see whether or not my algorithm gives similar outcomes to the methods that have been previously used. There actually isn't very much research around the movement of insects on inclined substrates, and there isn't very much research about the effect of insect size as they move on different substrates. So it will be really interesting to see what the algorithm and the methods give in terms of the results. So before I wrap up this video, I'd like to talk a little bit about what it's like to do a research project remotely. So of course, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, it means that students cannot do any research projects at the Imperial campus. So I've been doing all of the work so far on this project at home. Having done a UROP last year means that I have the unique insight to be able to compare what it's like to do a UROP at Imperial versus doing it at home. And to be honest, although you don't get to meet PhD students and postdoctoral researchers in person, you still get a really good taste of what it's like to do research, and you still pick up some great skills as you go along. So for instance, I'll be picking up Python, the programming language, as I go along in this project, and I also get to speak to the PhD students and the postdoctoral researchers during online meetings that they have fortnightly, where different members of the lab present what they've been working on for the past 2 weeks, or maybe present about a paper that they've been reading. And there are also some social events between the labs, so you get to know other people in the group a bit more and feel that you're really included in the group. So I'm doing my project in the evolutionary biomechanics lab at Imperial with Dr. David Labont, and my PhD supervisors are Fabian and Andrea, and they've all been really welcoming and really nice and have made sure that I get as much help as I need, and are always checking to see if I'm stuck with anything or if I need additional resources to make sure that I'm progressing with the project. So I think doing undergraduate research work or any kind of undergraduate study work is still possible because Imperial is making sure that students are supported through their studies or through extracurricular activities or opportunities like the UROP. I'm really grateful that the Evolutionary Biomechanics Lab have facilitated me doing this project at home, and I'm looking forward to see where the project goes and what the outcomes of the project will be. So thank you so much for watching this video, and if you want to find out more about the Evolutionary Biomechanics Lab, then click on the link that will be on the screen in a few seconds. And if you want to find out more about the Department of Bioengineering, you can follow the other link that will be on the screen.